Hey, Chris. What do you call a comet wrapped in bacon?
What?
A meteor. A meteor.
How do you learn about ancient Greek art?
How?
With artifacts.
Oh. That was so good, I have to wipe my brow. What does an astronaut call his ex from space? A SpaceX. A SpaceX. No, come on. Okay, that was it. That was it.
Nope. You started strong,
and
but
kind of went downhill from there.
AP goes on a space kick with Apollo 13 Survival. Eric joins a coven with Agatha All Along, and it's all Greek to me with KAOS on this week's episode of Whatcha Watchin. Welcome to Whatcha Watchin, presented by Geeky A Go-Go, a show where we dive into what's currently on our screens. Big screens or little screens, size matters not here, just the quality or lack thereof of our cues. Eric, you're back!
I know.
Yay.
I was going to leave you guys forever, but...
Forever? That's mean.
Ever.
What did Chris do to deserve that? Where were you? We didn't talk about you because we didn't want to spoil your secrets. We didn't want our fan to start stalking you in wherever it was that you were going. So
I mean, I would have been fine.
He's lying.
With visitors. I was in Taiwan and I just came back. I was there for 3 weeks.
Nice.
Which is nice. Got to hang out with family for a bit.
You were on an exchange program?
That's right.
Very nice.
Which the stories I could tell about exchange programs. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Got back last week while you guys were recording and was jet lag out of my mind, so I didn't join. But now that I'm here, hello.
So I mean, you can't leave us hanging. What did you do? What nerdy things did you do in Taiwan?
I got to... No, I spent a lot of time in government offices. Other than that, I got to troop with the local Taiwanese 501st folks, which is fun. We did a blood drive.
Very cool.
It's very hot. I thought I was used to doing events in the heat in Texas. Doing in humid, disgusting, 100, I think feels like 120 kind of situation is disgusting. And so don't know how they do it. That's why they don't do that much summer stuff.
What did you troop as?
Well, since I was traveling,
Mhm.
I just brought a very simple crewman, which is just a flight suit.
Okay, very nice.
Which you can kind of get around without using too much space.
Nice.
But yeah, so it was fun. I got to meet a few folks. Got to hang out. Met a bunch of folks who are new, and then caught up with some friends over there. So, like I said before, highly encourage y'all to kind of make some friends, as you travel the world, because it's really nice so that I'm not just hanging with my parents all the time.
Well, it's nice to have you back. We missed you.
Thank you.
I missed you. Chris was talking smack about you the entire time.
I would not expect anything less.
He was like, I really hope Eric just stays away.
Maybe I should catch up on our podcast.
Oh, yeah. We could use the download.
I'll leave my thoughts for the after party.
Nice. Well, welcome back.
Yes, definitely welcome back, Eric. I mean, that's kind of a good segue, right? I guess that was your highlight of your last few weeks. Do you have a low light you want to share with us?
It was hot. It was very hot.
Jet lag and hot. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right. My highlight for the week. I'll dive right in. Highlight. It's spooky season. So
Woo!
We just slightly early. We started Halloween decorating. Which I mean, it's kind of a low light too, because it's got to climb in the attic, get all the stuff down, trips it through the house, put it on the yard. For some reason, we've been cool weather, and the day we decided to decorate was really hot or humidly hot. It's been very damp here in the Northeast, and so mosquitoes like crazy, whatever. But I mean, stuff is coming together, and it looks really good. So we're very happy about this time of year. So yeah, that was my highlight. Low light is a continuation from last week. Talked about my credit card getting stolen. There's a slight update. Does not for me particularly, but the town Facebook group community group, someone posted an update, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Apparently, there's been a slew of people having their credit cards, their physical credit cards, stolen in the mail.
Whoa.
So they're getting new cards because of this trend, the thing that's happening, and they're waiting for their new cards to show up in the mail and disappears. That does, I don't know if someone's getting to their mailboxes beforehand, or or as it's dropped off, you know, pulling them out of the mailbox, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know if someone in the USPS is criminal, but I mean, this stuff happens. Things get lost. I don't want to point fingers at anybody right now, but the people are not getting their cards. So someone was like, "Hey, make sure you inform the PD and all that stuff." So it was an interesting update. It wasn't just me. I mean, it happened. It probably happens all across America all the time. I don't have the fact of that at all.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because specifically time frame, someone was like, "Hey, this is happening a lot in our community." So I was like, "Okay, that's it. Very interesting."
Wow. All right. Well, hopefully they find out what's going on, so credit card users can sleep well at night.
Yeah, I mean, shame on us for using credit cards, right? Because everyone does wireless transactions now, right?
Exactly.
Tap and go and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that leaves AP. What was your start with your low light? We don't like ending on a high on a low light.
I know. I'm taking a page from the Nitro book. We're gonna end on the highlight. So let's start with the low light. So the low light. So follow up from last week as well. So if you listened to our show last week, I went off and on about the woes of vacuum forming. This particular cosplay that I am working on for New York Comic Con with a pal of mine. The low light is, I think this is the first time I've thrown my hands up in the air on a project and said, I am done. I'm walking away from it. I'm not doing this anymore. It was just one problem after another. I'm not going to share what the project was because we might revisit it down the line. I still want it to be a surprise, but it required making a visor, a vacuum formed visor. It's not like a Mandalorian one where you can have like the flat welding sheet. It actually had to be formed in the shape. It's almost like a space, an astronaut helmet. So there was a special, shape to that. It needed to be tinted, and the stuff that I got to tint it, I got a barely usable one. And I tried tinting it, and it just came out like crap. And I was finally like, you know what, I'm done. We're only 10 days away at this point to Comic-Con, so I can't. So we're going to pivot and move on to something else. So, but that's the low light because I hate giving up. Especially on something that I've already invested so much time on. I hate giving up, but sometimes you just have to say, wasn't worth it. Okay. And then the highlight.
Hold on. Before you get to that. So is it, not trying to reveal what it was, is it a complex thing? Did you go too advanced? Did you try with simple things first to see if you can get it done?
Yeah, it's not that complex. It can be more complex with like electronics and things like that. And even there was a point where I was like, I'm not even gonna get to the electronics. We'll just go non-electronic with it. So you can go very complex with it. It's really just the need for the vacuum former, the need for the tinting. It's just a lot of different steps that I don't have time for, you know? And and again, you have to kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze on this? How many times am I actually going to wear this thing? It's not like it's a 501st thing that I can troop in over and over again. It's probably like a one and done type of thing. Like I look at my Robot Man, I'm like, the last time I trooped in him was probably Garden State Comic Fest, and that was like the 2022 edition maybe. So like, and that took a lot of work, and I love that one. And so it was a cosplay that I wasn't really interested in anyway. It was just something fun to do with a pal. And so you factor in lack of excitement, lack of time, complexity of needing special tools to pull something off, and then special skills kind of to take it across the finish line. I'm just like, I don't have time anymore for it. If I wasn't traveling so much, maybe, but so I had to say goodbye.
Okay, cool.
But I do want to spend time working on my scout trooper with and I know I have a few scouts that I can lean on for that, and that's something I'm excited about. And then the highlight of my week, and I know we're running out of time, but the highlight of my week I got to spend 3 days with an astronaut at NASA Space Center in Houston. I got to see the original Apollo mission control room over in the Craft building. I got to go to the ISS mission control and actually see Butch and Sonny, who are stuck up in space right now, and just hear from the flight directors and talk to this astronaut and have dinner with them for multiple nights and lunch and pick his brain. We were with a great group of people. We went all over NASA and just learned a lot about the space program and all these other things. It was for a work thing. It was part of a leadership development program that we're piloting at my day job. But it was just such a phenomenal experience, being with that level of knowledge and experience and just shaking the hand of someone who's been in space 3 times and orbited the Earth multiple times and was there in the early 90s on like the Challenger Commission and all this stuff. I fell in love with it so hard. Like as soon as I came back, I'm like, I'm going to build a Saturn V rocket. That's my next project. But also just, we could do a whole show on space, but like just, so I'll tone it down just a little bit. But seeing the Saturn V rocket, I don't know about you guys. I was never really much into space until now, but seeing how big this thing is, I mean, you're in essence lifting, this is the rocket and this is the payload. Like it's a 350-foot long tube sending 3 people up into space. And when you think about the amount of energy that it takes to do that, it's mind blowing that this 26,000-pound thing gets lifted off the ground with so much fuel in different stages. It's just, I'm obsessed now. I'm obsessed. I got my daughter a rocket model kit, paper model kit. I got my son a shuttle that kind of flies around the floor. I'm all in on space. So if you too are involved into space the way I am now, send me a note at mailbag@geekyagogo and we'll talk about it in a future show. Have you guys ever been down there? Have you been to Cape Canaveral or yeah? No.
I have not, unfortunately.
Okay.
Just time and stuff like that. I mean, something that's more accessible to us here is in Virginia, the
Yep.
Udvar Hazy Center in Dulles Airport, or right off of Dulles Airport.
Yeah.
The Smithsonian Museum. So the Air and Space Museum, I forget it's called. So yeah, and the thing is, I've been right there, but because I've been there for work, you don't have the time to go over to the side there. So definitely stuff I would like to do.
Yeah, it's super. It was super cool. Eric, you've been?
I like how you said, by the way, that this is a program you're piloting. And yes, I have.
Nice. Did you like it? Did you hate it? You're leaving us hanging.
I mean, rockets are huge. It's crazy. I mean, it is crazy how we kind of take things for granted these days. That these things just
Exactly.
keep on going up. Like I think Elon Musk ruined it for everybody. Like literally, rockets are going up every other day. Um, and it is also really interesting to see kind of how we've gone small and now we're trying to go big again so we can go further
Yep.
in space. We'll see how technology has evolved
Yeah.
the next few years, but no, it's really cool. I love to see space launches when I get a chance, and I just remember like I remember when we were kids, like it was one of those things where they were going to launch something, everyone paused,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like watching TV,
Yep.
and we just don't do that anymore, which is unfortunate. I think.
Yeah, it's very sad how that's kind of gone to not the wayside, but it's not as exciting as it was when you were in school. And yeah, to your point, they would bring the TV into the classroom and we would all watch it together. I guess the romanticism of space flight is because we've done it so many times. It's like, okay, to your point. So yeah, very excited. I can't wait to start working on my Saturn V rocket. So
maybe
yeah.
if we get a few more subscribers to our Patreon, we can all go up on one of those commercial craft and do a podcast in space.
There we go. There we go.
Here's my segue for Anthony. to give us a little chat about our Patreon.
Well, thank you, Nitro. So before we dive into our Whatcha Watchin round, head on over to patreon.com/geekygogo and consider supporting the show. It does cost us money to put this production on and to launch rocket ships, and we could use all the help we can get. But if you are strapped for cash, there is a free tier that does give you access to our Discord server. Yes, so please, but we prefer that you make it rain in the go-go. So give us your dollar bills, y'all. So head on over to patreon.com/geekyagogo, sign up for our Patreon today, and help us put this show on. All right, Nitro, what you watching?
I have thoughts about this show.
All right.
So this may go long, and we may need to edit it out to
Yeah.
throw over to the after party. But I watched KAOS, KAOS, on Netflix, and it is a show that revolves around a particular myth in Greek mythology. However, things, and this is the part that kind of like annoys me. Things are brought in to fill the story a little bit. So I'm. It's one of those things where I was like, okay, let me just watch this thing and see how I end up on it. So the first thing that kind of I was like, I'm not too sure about this is Jeff Goldblum, the cinematic icon Jeff Goldblum. Okay.
Yeah.
I call him Jeff. Okay.
Your best friend, Jeff.
My best friend, Jeff. All right. Fantastic individual. It plays Zeus on the show. So it's a very odd choice of to be the ruler of the gods, right? Zeus is usually portrayed as someone very muscular, like a beardy guy, like typical what quote unquote God in the Christian faith looks like. So yeah, I mean, it started there, and I was like, okay, but like I said, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna check it out, see what it is. And fantastic cast. I mean, I don't want to just narrow down on Jeff Goldblum again. Amazing actor. Janet McTeer plays Hera. Aurora Perrineau, I didn't know of her, but she is Harold Perrineau's daughter of Lost fame. She plays one of the main characters, or the main character, I should say, Eurydice, which they shortened to Riddy. I got annoyed by that, but I get it. It's not easy for people to say Eurydice all the time, over and over again. Cliff Curtis plays Poseidon. Again, fantastic cast. David Thewlis plays Hades. On and on and on. Almost cameos. Eddie Izzard is in it. Did you guys hear about that? Eddie Izzard wants to be called Susie, but doesn't mind people calling her Eddie.
Oh no!
So,
and are they identifying as female or as non-binary?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't look into it.
Yeah,
I know that they prefer to dress as a woman. I don't know what their pronouns are, but
that's great. Good for them.
Yeah, fantastic person, comedian, amazing. Recommend watching all her specials, their specials. Yeah, so lots of people in it. And the show is basically the story of Eurydice dying, going to the underworld, and her, I think they're married, her husband Orpheus literally journeys to the underworld to take her out of the underworld. But like lots of little things are done to like move the story along and whatever, and the gods are involved. Dionysus is played by Naban Rizwan. He kind of orchestrates the whole thing. He gets Orpheus into the underworld kind of through like a backhanded way of like lying, and Zeus is very pissed off about the whole thing. And then there's this conspiracy that's happening, is that the gods don't exist. The gods exist because they drink on the souls of the living or something like that. And so yeah, there's twists and turns all over the place. The Without getting too more into it, I actually liked the show. However, I do have reservations about it because I am Greek and that's what I do, and you guys like to make fun of me about it. But I'm putting that out there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So
Go ahead.
let's save your reservations.
To be fair, everyone makes fun about it.
So let's save your reservations for an after party, so we can talk through that. So if you want to hear Nitro's, and Nitro, pronounce your last name for me.
No.
Come on,
That's
do
why
it.
everyone calls me Nitro.
So our Greek friend Nitro is going to give you his big feelings on KAOS in our Patreon only after party. So again, head on over to patreon.com/geekyagogo and get access to that exclusive content. I, for one,
he might even drop a plate or two,
Yeah. his cure-all for everything, Windex. It is Windex, everyone. All right, so we're gonna reserve your full commentary for the after party, but what are your disco balls?
I'm gonna give it 3.5 disco balls.
Oh wow, okay, all right. Now I'm very curious what your commentary is going to be.
Yes, like I said, it's an enjoyable show. I liked it. It gets a little like long in the tooth sometimes. But most of my reservations are one with the myths, right?
Yeah.
Like how closely does it follow the myths, and that I forget the word. They take liberties with
Sure.
so, some of the character stuff.
Yeah.
As a peak, right? So people can join. Persephone, who's the wife of Hades. The myth goes that when she is above world, it is springtime or spring and summer, and then when she goes back to the underworld, it becomes fall and winter. But the show's setting is completely beautiful Mediterranean the entire time, and she's been in the underworld the entire time. So I was like, you should have done your homework a little bit better. So yes, things like that. But like I said, the show 3.5 disco balls.
Eric, did you see it?
No, but it's on the list.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
So also Jeff Goldblum, who's playing Grey Master. So I think you should be used to him playing a god at this point.
So as a non-Greek, I am an Ital. I loved it. I actually would give it like 4.5 disco balls. So I guess that shows how our cultural differences as well. And I know that, and so I was a mythology nerd when I was a little kid, and agreed that there are some creative liberties that were taken here. But Jeff Goldblum was a gem. Like, as he was fantastic. Dionysus, Naban Rizwan, he was on Taskmaster. Loved him on Taskmaster. Loved him as Dionysus. I think the casting was great. Yes, the story. I mean, it takes place in modern day, a version of the world that obviously doesn't exist, unless they still do have Olympia Day on Crete and they sacrifice people. I'm pretty sure that that's all fake.
Crete. The
What did I
island
say?
of Crete, the beautiful. You said Crete.
Crete.
It's not Star Wars, okay?
The land of the dragons.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait for season 2, but I also can't wait to hear your big feelings on it. All right.
Cool.
Round 2. Next up.
Yeah, well, let's punt it over to Eric, because Eric hasn't been around for a while. Eric, what you watching?
I started watching Agatha All Along, which surprised we haven't talked about yet, which is very exciting. It's I like how they timed it with I think the series finale showing up around Halloween. This is definitely a bit of a spooky MCU show. For those who don't know, Agatha All Along is kind of a I don't want to call it a spinoff. Maybe it's a spinoff, a continuation of some of the stories that were told in WandaVision from Disney Plus. And so it came out, I want to say 2 weeks ago now at this point. There's like, I think on third episodes now, like it drops every Wednesday, Thursday. Um, I watch it when I have time. And it's cool. I have been liking it. Apparently, this is one of the lower production budgeted Disney Plus show. Um, that this is a whole thing where people talk about Acolyte getting canceled, and then the budget versus reality. I think this is one of those where the right amount of investment is turning into the appropriate amount of viewership, and it's actually been really cool. I like Catherine Kahn. I really like Aubrey Plaza, and it's the 3 episodes in. I feel like I need more. I want to see what's going on. They introduce little things here and there where you go, oh, they're burying something here that they're gonna pick up later on, and it's really cool. So the general premise is, and I will end here. Uh, at the end of WandaVision, Agatha Harkness, who was doing all these messed up things to Wanda, had essentially table turned on her and power stripped away, essentially. And that's how we find ourselves at the beginning of this show. And in this show, in the first few episodes, she's had to assemble a team, essentially. Kind of like I'm blanking out, but kind of like she's assembling like a lion, like a scarecrow, kind of like
Oh, like Wizard of Oz?
very Wizard of the Oz feel like
Okay.
situation where they have to go and reclaim their power.
Oh.
And then they have to go down the witch's road, which is a little bit like the yellow brick road.
Okay.
And it's cool. There are little hints here and there. I don't think you need to have remembered anything from WandaVision. There are things here and there where you go, oh, I think that's what they talked about. But they did a pretty good job, I think, of just leading you kind of straight into it and keeping you kind of in suspense throughout. So
that's awesome.
I'm a big fan. I like the cast I've seen so far. I like their dynamic. A few episodes in, and I think I will be tuning in regularly. I did read an article where I think Catherine Hahn said that she's very happy that she got to show her butt on television. So
that's awesome.
So if you see a butt, apparently that is a real butt.
Ooh, Disney! How provocative!
I know.
I love Catherine Hahn. She's fantastic, and I loved her character in WandaVision. And I like your review of it, so I'm definitely going to watch it. It looks like on the tomato meter. How many episodes in are we? All of them? Did they do a
3? No.
Okay.
They're dropping it 1 week at a time.
So as of right now, they're at 83% fresh, 82% popcorn meter, which is we didn't see those numbers at all for Acolyte. And I like your point about the budget. So it actually came to this week. It was revealed, I think, in Forbes. The actual budget for Acolyte was supposed to be 180 million, and it came in at 230 million, and that was by episode 5, and they still had 3 episodes to go. So I mean, to your point, matching the budget with the expected viewership is key here, and it's unfortunate because Star Wars keeps on doing these nothing burgers that are getting attacked by review bombers and a nasty fan base. But then you have something fresh in the Marvel universe like Agatha All Along, and it's winning. There was talk, and we could have a whole episode on this topic. There was talk a long time ago, and it wasn't talk. It was the toxic fan base of Star Wars saying how Kevin Feige should take over Lucasfilm because he's crushing it. And I say that in quotes because he's not really crushing it, but he's doing really interesting things over at Marvel. Can he spread that magic to Lucasfilm? In 30 seconds or less, do you think Kevin Feige could make gold in the Star Wars universe? Nope.
No.
Okay. Perfect. No. Okay. Collective no's. All right. We'll save that for another topic episode. All right. Because we're running short on time here. But because of your reactions, that deserves a topic episode right there. But how many disco balls did you say?
Oh. Yeah, 3.5 so far.
3.5.
I think yeah. Let's keep it there. We'll see how it goes over the next few weeks.
I have been watching as well, Agatha All Along, so I'm definitely agreeing with your thoughts on it. However, I do disagree that you definitely should have watched WandaVision
Mm,
or Doctor Strange. I think it was Universe of Madness, something like that. Multiverse of
multiverse
Madness.
madness. Yeah.
Um, the there's a lot of like references to it in the show, right? They say like, oh, we don't say her name anymore around here because Wanda had the town cursed or
Mm,
whatever. So it's like very very like, yes, to a point, but then there's a lot of stuff that's referenced, and this is only 3 episodes in, so maybe they're done with that in the first 2 episodes, and now they're just continuing on with their own story. um but yeah, I mean, in comparison, the cast is vastly smaller um
mm.
for this show than Acolyte. But yeah, this is a great show. I definitely
Yeah,
agree.
and honestly, this is more of a and sometimes I think about this, right? It's how much story can you tell locking a bunch of people in a room? That's
Mm,
essentially what this is, right? Like
mm.
it's not a huge set, it's not a lot of it's about this interaction. And so I don't know, I think it's kind of cool.
Nice.
After this third episode, I feel like every episode's going to be an escape room.
Ah,
Oh, so right. So basically on the Witches Road, you just like Wizard of Oz, you get little challenges
mm,
that you have to essentially trials you have to pass as a team. And so
okay.
I mean, we're essentially watching Wizard of Oz, but MCU edition. I think is what I'm seeing right now.
Nice. And Nitro, what are your disco ball ratings for it since you're 3 in as well?
I'll reserve it
Oh, okay.
till season end,
All
because
right.
I'm sure we'll bring it up again.
Perfect.
But yeah, right now, season episode 3, you should go. Everyone should go watch. It's
Okay.
spooky season.
Yeah.
Witches are where it's at. Do
Love it. Ooh, I like that. Witches are where it's at. Love that.
it.
Yes. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Eric.
And Anthony, go ahead. What
All
you
right.
watching?
So my round one is in the vein of space exploration. Now that's my new thing, I watched the documentary Apollo 13 Survival on Netflix. So if you've seen Apollo 13, the movie with Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise and everybody, you kind of have a good idea of what happened from a dramatic Hollywood perspective. But what's really cool about this documentary is that it's actual footage from mission control. It's footage from the ship and the shuttle, the capsule. It's the voices of Marilyn Lovell, who is Jim Lovell's wife, and kind of getting her perspective of being, the spouse on the ground who is listening with the world as her husband is stuck in space and no idea if he's going to come back or not. It was truly a captivating documentary, and Netflix, they have a great their documentaries are really wonderful. Like they do a really great job of either self-producing their documentaries or finding documentary filmmakers that tell phenomenal stories, and this is just another one of them. It's I'm not going to go into great detail. I'm assuming everyone knows about Apollo 13 and what happened. The cliff notes: they went up, they were going to land on the moon. Halfway to the moon, there is a incident on the shuttle that causes them to have to shut down power, not go on the moon, and kind of slingshot around the moon to get back to Earth. And it was over the course of, I think, 5 days, 4 days, something like that, where the world was unaware, that was kind of on the edge of their seats and expecting that this group would come back. Spoiler alert, they make it, they survive, which is why it's called Apollo 13 Survival. But that's it in a nutshell. Definitely check it out. It's an easy watch, an hour and a half maybe. I couldn't love this more. I give it 5 disco balls. It's and I'm it's not because I'm on the honeymoon of NASA. It was a really, really good documentary, to the point where when we were down there, we did watch a clip from Apollo 13, and I was like, why didn't they just show the documentary? It's way better. I mean, the drama and pathos is there in the documentary. even though I knew how it was going to end, I was still kind of on the edge of my airplane seat as I was watching the documentary. But it was really good. And I think what's special about it is that you're actually hearing it in their own voices. And you're seeing the footage of Jim Lovell at the press conference and the entire crew and before they're going up. And you're hearing the voice of the spouses, and you're hearing the voice of the mission control crew. It just adds a level of reality to it. That makes it even more compelling. So definitely check it out. Have you guys seen this yet? I think it just came out maybe a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Cool. It's on my queue. I haven't watched it yet. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Tom Hanks, fantastic, in Apollo 13. So
yeah,
I mean, the whole cast. I might single out Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks is partially Greek. That's why I singled him out. There you go.
Is it Tom Hanksonopoulos?
Exactly.
Is that his name?
Extrotasios.
Extrotasios.
Which, by the way, again, going to that earlier point, right? Like, people were captivated with what's going on with the Apollo 13 astronauts around the world.
Yep.
We just trapped 2 astronauts up in space, and people barely check the internet and they go, I guess they're still up there, right?
Yeah.
Like, if this were like 20 years ago, 30 years ago,
Oh yeah,
like, this will be around the clock coverage of that. So
that's a great point. And I wonder if it was the Challenger mission that kind of turned everybody away, because at that point there had been 3 major catastrophes in NASA's history where everyone was watching. It's like, you know what, let's just kind of so that there's that one point, and then B, since since 2000, so for the last 24 years, maybe 99, 25 years, there's been someone in space above us all year long for the last 25 years. And so like when it becomes everyday something, then it's no longer a something, right? It's almost like picking up a gallon of milk from the grocery store. It becomes that banality of life. It's like, oh, there's somebody up in space for the last 25 years. That's great, but you send someone to the moon, and that's interesting. And there still is a big fan base of people who go down to Canaveral or go down to Hawthorne or Houston, um, and watch Elon Musk launching those Falcon rockets and watching them come back down. Like, that's really, it's like the innovation to get us to Mars, I think, is starting to spark. And Artemis, which is the next program that's supposed to take us to the moon next year, or between next year and 2030, I think is going to spark some excitement on that as well.
I think I disagree with you both. I think the sensationalism of the space race inspired a lot of people, right, to do things and stuff like that. So we're at a point in history where it's normal, right? So we don't have that overt, like, oh my god, all this is happening, we're going to the moon, blah blah blah, we're beating the Russians, like that is gone. This is all normalized, right? However, the amount of effort and time and energy that's put into STEM programs with kids is, I think, at an all-time high. Like, I think we are making the next generation of those astronauts right now. And so at our level, like, Anthony, I love the energy, right, that you're giving. I think that exists with kids, right? I don't think that you see it amongst, it's not a topic of conversation on a daily basis. And you're like, oh yeah, 2 astronauts are stuck in space, whatever. But kids, I think kids are like, oh my God, there's 2 people stuck up there. What's going on? And so they're like, how do we solve these problems? And they're trying to science the crap out of this, right? To quote, what was it, Mark Watney? I forgot the name of the movie. We're gonna science the crap out of this. I'm paraphrasing there, folks.
Well, that's interesting because my kids aren't the same age as your kids, so my kids could care less. And it's so back in the day, they would move the television into the classroom and watch these rocket launches. Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, unless it happens for you, but they're not doing it at the schools down here.
But we are seeing. So this is where I disagree. We are seeing, like, my daughter can code. Like, I see her doing things, and like
totally
robotic stuff or moving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like that's the stuff that I see that amongst Americans of, like, we have kids that can do stuff that I've never been able to do.
Totally get that, but we're talking about space. And like,
It
are
all
your
leads
kids
to it.
watching? Yeah, but they're not bringing the television in to watch all this stuff.
I think there's just so much more stuff.
Yeah,
these days.
exactly.
And that's what I'm saying.
attention.
It's been normalized. So I agree with you guys. It's been normalized, but the
Mhm.
excitement I think is still there.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, let us know your thoughts. Send us a note at mailbag@geekyagogo.com. I know none of you will, but send us a note anyway and let us know what you think about space in 2024. Is it still exciting? Is it not exciting? Is it a nothing burger? Or are you just as excited as you were and your kids are excited as they were back in the 1980s when that gigantic television would be rolled into the classroom and God forbid it fell? All right. Nitro, back to you for round 2.
Round 2, Whatcha Watchin Nitro. The next one is it aired a little while ago, but I definitely watched it more recently. I finished watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix. How to describe Sweet Tooth? I tell people it is The Last of Us, but for tweens, right? It's a post-apocalyptic world that was devastated by a viral outbreak that's called the Sick, and the Sick basically has created hybrid humans. So everyone born before or everyone born before the Sick, they're normal human beings. Everyone born after the Sick are basically these animal human hybrids. So the protagonist of the show is Sweet Tooth, and he is a boy deer hybrid. So he has these huge antlers and has a very keen sense of smell and hearing and stuff like that. Um, and you know, we go on a journey to find somebody, right? Which is what we did in The Last of Us. If everybody's familiar with that show, which I'm pretty sure we are because it was a hit, right?
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
This is based on a DC comic, and so season 3 aired earlier this year in June, and it puts a bow on the series because it was the series finale, and the whole journey was Sweet Tooth is trying to find his mother, right? Who we find out basically genetically engineered him, and raises him up and keeps him hidden. So he happens to be the oldest of all these hybrids, right? And so he leads all these kids that are also hybrids to find a sanctuary, and he's dodging people that are after them and whatever. So yeah, this season puts a bow on the whole thing, and I think it does it in a very good way. I really like the show. My kids aren't of the age yet because, like I said, it's a tween show. It's more like TV 14 kind of thing. That's a rating, right? Or is it 13? I think it's 14. Anyway, tweens.
Oh yeah, TV 14. Yeah,
TV 14. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Very good. Binge the whole thing, since now the whole thing is out. See, 3 seasons, 8 episodes each.
Okay.
Varying time frames. I think like an hour-ish per episode, maybe less. I recommend it. I give it 4 disco balls.
Wow. All right. And it looks like tomato meter 92% fresh. And I think that's cumulative of all 3 seasons. 78% on the popcorn meter. So critics like it. Audiences are being audiences. I've been aware of this show, but I haven't dived into it. So maybe I'll give the first few episodes a watch, since you give it a 4, right?
Yep, 4 disco balls.
That's great. And where is it streaming?
On Netflix.
Okay, very cool. Nice. Good recommendation.
Eric, what's your watching, round 2?
This is a fun one. Since I still have my Crunchyroll subscription, so continuing on the anime adventure, I discovered a show called Red Cat Ramen. So Ramen Akaneko. And so the premise of this show is a bunch of talking cats have opened a ramen shop.
Oh my God.
And they hired a part-time human to help them run because they're getting so busy to help them run the ramen shop.
Oh my
And
God.
hilarity ensued over the course of a series of really short 20, 30 minutes episodes for gosh, like 12 episodes. And so the cast of the cats include this really grumpy, like old, like orange tabby cat. He's like the head owner slash chef. There's like a sous chef that's his cat. There's like a white cat that's like a customer service cat. And then they have a tiger who makes noodles in their back room. Because the tiger's a cat. And so
Amazing.
this show is so good. It's so enjoyable. The first episode, and no one's gonna watch this, but the first episode is um this guy came and wanted to pick, like a fight with this ramen shop. It's one of those annoying internet people. It's like, I found a hair in my ramen, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Sir, this is a cat cafe with ramen shop. We told you that there's gonna be hair in these ramen." And then the guy was gonna like picking out the cats, and so they called a tiger to come out to chase the guy away. It was
I love it.
so. Anyway, if you find yourself on Crunchyroll, you need some enjoyable, chill, relaxing time. Red Cat Ramen is out, and
Oh
I
my
highly
God.
recommend it.
Oh, I really want to watch this. Do you have to pay for Crunchyroll?
I can
Yeah.
get you some stuff.
We'll talk about that in the after party.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Disco balls?
I'll give you a 4.5, 4. Let's go
Ooh,
for 4. Let's
all
go
right, all
4.
right. Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. 4 disco balls for cats. I guess you're a cat guy.
which is really funny because they the part timer that they hired, this woman, in the interview they asked whether you like cats or dogs, and she's like, "Oh, actually, I'm more of a dog person." And they're like, "This is great because all our guests just want to pet us all the time. We just need someone who's here to do work." So I don't know. Maybe you'll enjoy working at the ramen cat place.
Nice. AP, you're the only one left, so we gotta get back to you.
All right, all right.
What you watching?
I am watching Apartment 7, or I watched Apartment 7A on Paramount Plus. I've been looking forward to this one. This is the prequel to Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski, starring Mia Farrow, Ruth Gordon, John Cassavetes. That came out in 1968. This came out about a week or so ago, and it's like I said, the prequel to Rosemary's Baby. It stars Julia Garner, who plays Terry Giannoffrio, a up and coming. Well, I actually wouldn't say up and coming. She is a actor in a Broadway actor dancer, trying to find her way. And she suffers an injury during a performance that is preventing her from continuing to audition and get roles. And as she auditions for a new musical, she kind of stalks the producer to go prove that she is worthy of the role. And as she follows the producer home, come to find out the producer lives at the Bramford, which is the apartment building in Manhattan, where Rosemary's Baby takes place. She gets sick because I think she's either drunk or overdosed on some pain medication, and is picked up off the street by Minnie and Roman Castevet, who were played originally in the original movie by Ruth Gordon and Sidney Blackmer. In this, Minnie Castevet is played by Diane Wiest, who is phenomenal as Minnie Castevet. She plays your typical 1960s wealthy New Yorker. Her husband is played by Kevin McNally, and they pick her up, they befriend her, they bestow upon her an apartment for free to help her get back on her feet, no pun intended. And if you all saw Rosemary's Baby, you know that the Castevets are not the best people to be friends with because they will get you pregnant with Satan's baby. Anyway, this movie doesn't disappoint. They did a lot of fun things creatively in this show. I'm going to call it a rape scene. The rape scene, although it's not nearly as grotesque and provocative as that, they turned it into almost like a musical number, like a Dr. Seuss drug-addled musical number. It was fascinating to watch, but like really good too. I feel terrible saying something like that, but I mean it's fiction. They're impregnating her with the devil's baby. So, but yeah, there were a lot of really interesting creative decisions. I have a soft spot in my heart for the 60s and 70s New York City theater scene. I think it was a magical time for theater. And so I really enjoyed this movie. It's on Paramount Plus. I'm gonna give it 4 disco balls, and it leads right up to the opening of Rosemary's Baby. I believe I have to go rewatch the opening, but I believe the end of this is right before the opening of Rosemary's Baby. So definitely check both of those out because we are in, would you call it spooky season? We're in spooky season. So this is a great time to catch up on your horror movies. So yeah, 4 disco balls for Apartment 7A. Have you guys seen it yet? Have you watched it?
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
A musical in a horror film?
Well, so and again, it's a creative decision, which I really liked. So she is a musical actor. You know, she's a dancer, she's a singer, she's an actor on Broadway, and so she gets drugged, as does Mia Farrow in the original, and her perception of reality, because she's drugged now, is everything's a musical. And I just thought it was a really fascinating creative decision to go that way. There was like a big dance number as part of the rape scene. There was like, because again, she's drugged and her reality is the stage, her reality is performance. And so kind of vexing it through that lens, it made sense. And it was just really interesting, and lots of very interesting cosplays that I would like to pursue. I don't, not in time for Comic-Con, but some really interesting cosplays. The devil in the rape scene, again, because it's all bright lights, big city musical numbers, is like encrusted in like black and shimmery gems, like almost like a disco ball. It was really interesting, very interesting. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We both did. My wife did as well. But unfortunately, Rotten Tomatoes, friggin' Rotten Tomatoes, 39%. Boom, splat. 55% on the popcorn meter. Critics' consensus: Apartment 7A is slickly assembled and solidly acted, but the lingering memory of Rosemary's Baby and a predictable prequel template make for a subpar lease. I disagree with that. First of all, you don't need to see Rosemary's Baby, and I don't think a lot of the new generation fully appreciate Rosemary's Baby for what it was. But you don't need to see Rosemary's Baby to fully appreciate this. I think it stands on its own, and just knowing Rosemary's Baby, you're going to enjoy it even more. We've talked about this in the past, Chris. You know, if you watch the background, you'll give it a 3. If you didn't, you'll give it a 2 or whatever it might be. I think this stands on its own, but I think it's also a nice prequel to the original. I think Rosemary's Baby just gets a lot of shade because of its director. What's the word we like to use now? Problematic. Roman Polanski, you know, sex pest Roman Polanski, who's living in France and refuses to be extradited or wherever he lives these days. Or actually, isn't he dead now? Anyway, I think the stigma of Roman Polanski has sullied the memory of Rosemary's Baby, the movie, but it's a good movie, and it is a classic movie. So yeah,
cool. I think you're just trying to.
Still alive.
He is still alive. Okay, thank you.
I think you're just trying to break your streak of terrible horror movies.
I am. I'm forcing myself to like it because, although I do have a couple snoozers that we can talk about next week.
Okay.
All right, Nitro, do you want to take us home?
Sure. Folks, do you want more Geeky A Go-Go? Make sure you're following us on all the socials at Geeky A Go-Go. Share with us what you're watching. Want cool stuff? Want to connect with us on a higher level, like on our Discord channel? Head on over to patreon.com/geekyagogo and support the show. You'll get awesome swag, like stickers right over here, and other perks. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're following the show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Thanks so much for listening. Peace out, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao. How do they say goodbye in Taiwan? Taiwanese? Oh, not nearly as exciting as I thought it would be.
We just say goodbye. Bye-bye.